Hello, my delicious co-creators. Lilou here on the Juicy Living Tour today in Hohai, or we're near Hohai, right?
Yes.
With Lola. So Lola and Lilou meet.
I loved that the minute I heard it.
So you're a spiritual teacher. I heard about you through Peter, and I say hello to Peter and thank you so much for this great connection here, because this is how it works. Life connect us in divine ways to the right people at the right time, right?
Yes, it was another woman 7 years ago who introduced me to the world, I guess you'd say, when the work spread to 135 countries all by itself. People share it just wildly. Yeah.
So you're considered a spiritual teacher. You wrote books and you travel and you do those divine openings that we'll get into.
You know what's funny? I don't travel so much, although lately the presence has called me and said, yes, you are traveling. You can't stay home with your horses all the time. And I have been giving retreats in Europe lately. And so the title of the book, the title you said was so long. Yeah, it's 14 words. Things are going great in my absence. How to let go and let the divine do the heavy lifting. Has been prophetic, because most of the work gets done through that book or on the website through the online classes, not even in my presence. So things go great in my absence. The energy, the field of resonance that book sets up is so powerful that my old dream of 20 years ago came true. I thought it was crazy at the time that a book could do that. And it does. Some people need more help than the book. And they do online courses or they come do a 5-day retreat. But so I don't travel that much, but it's changing lately.
But let's talk about this vortex of energy, this healing. Let's talk about not really the do that we've been really doing a lot in this old paradigm, but more of the being, the divine, doing the heavy lifting, huh?
Yes, absolutely. This work is definitely new paradigm, which you obviously know about. It's not about processing and working on yourself anymore, or cleansing, clearing, healing, fixing, all of that stuff. It's about waking up. And then all of a sudden the problems just don't look like problems anymore, or they just seem to dissolve. I call it an automatic evolution program. Once somebody has reached a certain level of this awakening, things just keep expanding. I've actually had people ask me, how do I slow it down? So they stop working on themselves. They stop doing healing work. They stop being problem-oriented. How do I fix my life? And it becomes more about, every day I'm expanding. Every day I'm expanding. Every day I'm expanding. I'm not doing anything. I haven't worked on myself for 7 years, and I'm far from perfect. But the expansion is wild. It's incredible. The music comes out. The art comes out. The creativity comes out. The business part works. The physical world part works. It's really, sometimes I call it the automatic download program.
So teach us that right now. Let's go into the teaching part of it so we get it. So anybody watching right now around the world can get it, because these are very important times. What is at the core of how can we apply this in our life and get it right now?
Now, they can get a taste. Certainly, I'm intending to create that field of resonance right now. Actually, as time goes by, it's just there all the time. It's effortless too. So it's really interesting. I don't do anything to people. And at the end of the 5-day retreat, I ask them, by then they're nodding, they're going, I say, what did I do to you? And they go, nothing. And I go, so what did you get? And they go, nothing. And yet they're just open. They're empty. They're open. And so it's an experience, absolutely. It's when people read the book or do an online course or come to one of those retreats, there's an experience, an unfolding experience that happens.
So it's through you. It's not.
Well, I'm definitely, sometimes I don't want to take on this big guru status, but definitely there's a calling and there's a gift. There's this ability to set up this field of resonance that causes that. If people will sit down and let it in, then something opens, something awakens in them that sees the world differently, moves through the world differently from that point on, and increasingly it expands. So it's a little difficult to put the finger on, okay, what did we do? Because like you're saying, we didn't do anything.
But I guess I'm here to, because I'm all about empowering people to really and really find the guru inside. So how can we?
That's what I'm all about.
So how can we apply this and feel this energy and do that for ourselves? Like, how can you transmit that so that we get it here through this video? Because I'm all about, that we open and share all this information up.
Yes, yes. And so, I noticed, I had a few minutes to look. I noticed you had a video with Amma. And so Amma opens people to this grace. And I do that too. They can be open to it by watching this video. And grace does a huge piece of the opening. There could be some people who watch this video and find that their life transforms. It has happened. What most people need to do is also do the conscious mind piece of it. And that is after grace has sort of thrown them aloft, like those people who release doves at weddings. Grace takes you out of your cage and it throws you aloft. And then our job is to use our conscious mind not to crash again and not to wander back into the cage. Okay? So there is a conscious mind piece that people do and practice and form new habits with so that they don't go back.
So what kind of habits?
Okay, like habits, the second book is called Watch Where You Point That Thing. And I like to be a little humorous about things whenever possible. And if it's exactly what it sounds like. You just got to be careful where you point your intention. Because the more powerful you get, the more laser-like and impactful your very attention is. So I have to be really careful where I watch where I point that thing. You can blow things up. You can create magic, or you can blow things up. The more you get where you can focus power intensely like a laser. So that's one of them. It's watch where you point that thing. And it's a benign thing because things draw our focus. This is wrong with the world. That's wrong with the world. This is wrong with that person. That person ought to get spiritual. This ought to be happening. I don't have enough money. My health is bad. So it's part of the process. Sometimes I'll say grace does 90%. That happens like that. It's like a touch, a hug, sitting in a room, in a seminar, reading that book. The grace, bam, it can be instant. So the grace does 90% of the work, and the expansion begins and the unfolding begins. Then our little 10%, though, can make it or break it, can help it soar by catching the thermals and going the way grace is trying to take us, or it can crash. It can crash it. The presence never says, okay, you're enlightened, you're done now. You will never again fall from grace. You will never again experience anything but bliss. No, the presence doesn't do that because, that wouldn't be a free will universe.
When was your awakening to that?
7 years ago. I spent a very long time.
It's pretty recent.
Pretty recent. I was the worst serial seeker. I was the classic, addictive seeker. And one day I just read the Riot Act and told the presence, new plan, please. I'm not going to live that long at this rate. If you kind of measure out, improvement, yes. But I just said, something's got to happen. And that's when it came. that's when it started coming. And then I spent a very long time in silence, deliberately and stubbornly speaking only to the presence, speaking to no one else. And that's when the gift came. And I think there's many lifetimes behind this, which we all have these things that we've done for many, many lifetimes. And there was some proclivity for that. But I did some time so that now I understand what people go through when actually the whole process of seeking becomes the very obstacle to actually finding it. It's like I'm seeking. I'm working on it. It's like, would you please be still and be quiet and just let grace do it? Would you please just know that it's been there all along? And if you'll just slow down and stop reading the books and stop doing the seminars for just a minute and let it in, suddenly it can happen. Now, again, you need to pay a little attention to that conscious mind stuff. I just did these videos called the mantras with about 60 aphorisms, reminders of how to use your conscious mind effectively. And people practice those. And so grace is trying to pull them upward. They're letting themselves be pulled upward. They're not contradicting it. And over time, I'll talk to people a few years later, and life is just unbelievable. Sometimes people will call me like, I'm afraid the other shoe's going to drop. This can't keep going this well. And I just go, there is no other shoe. There.
How did you react when you faced that truth? I mean, when you saw that happening around you and you acknowledged what it was?
I just got really happy. And then it started, of course, it literally grabbed me and took me. It literally wrote that book and just took over my life. And that's why, sometimes I have a little bit of like, oh my gosh, it's going to take over the whole thing. I want to ride my horse. But it doesn't. And so there's an intention here. And okay, intention. People learn to use their intention to watch where they point that thing, because watch where you point that thing.
The mental.
Your intention.
The intention.
Well, it's your whole giant, powerful field of resonance that ends up coming to bear on a situation. And so you want to be careful where you put big power. And so people learn that instead of processing and working on ourselves, we just get really good at, with an intention as light as the touch of a gnat's wing, we intend, then we get out of the way, and then move our feet if guided, don't if not guided, and begin to let it be that easy. And I love that you're into, okay, we've got to stop all this doing and we've got to begin to use our true power to get things done. And once that true power is blown open, then really all you got to do is watch where you point that thing and point it productively. And, everything just continues to expand. The heart expands. Your power begins to ripple out more to people around you without even trying. The people who do divine openings, they go, my husband transformed, my children transformed. I didn't do anything. I didn't teach them anything. I didn't preach to them. I didn't try to get them to read the book. They'll often go, they don't even need to read the book. They're doing better than me. It's so much about, I call the 5-day silent retreat 101 ways to do nothing, because what I'm really trying to do is get them to get out of the way. When we get out of the way, the grace comes down, but we need to get out of the way. And you love doing things. I love doing things. I love this physical world. I like to get my hands in. I like to get my hands dirty. I like to get sweaty on that horse. I like to dig in the dirt out there. I like to, scrub the floors. But it becomes so wonderful that we're doing the physical doings because we love them. I can tell you love what you do. We're doing them because we love them, not because we're knocking ourselves out trying to make it happen. You know, I was up till 3:45 this morning making a video. I just love it. The presence just, I just can't. It's like Jim Carrey in The Mask. Somebody stop me, you know?
Do you also channel, or can you embody at this present moment that we're speaking of?
I am. Yes. I can tell because, as you notice, I had no clue what I was going to say. And whenever a program or a session or a talk happens, it's very often, since that time 7 years ago, I feel like the presence moves me around. You know, just, but that happens with anybody who can get out of the way and let the presence move us around. And of course, there's this interesting game that we came here to play, that there's another part of us that wants to be in control. The smaller part wants to be in control, wants to make it hard, and wants the drama. And then the larger part is like saying, relax, come on, get in the flow. So one of my little aphorisms is surf it. You know, whatever happens, hey, you can't control the waves, but surf them. You can't be on the crest all the time, but surf whatever, you know, the trough, the crest. Swim out, skip that wave, surf that one, dive under it. If there's one coming too big, just dive under it, you know.
Tell us what kind of information you got about 2013 and the years, because, you know, this video is probably popping in 2013. So what is it?
Yeah, that it's all good and the evolution's never ending. And sure, there are waves that occur, energy waves, and we surf them, we ride them. Honestly, a lot of these big auspicious dates, most of them just kind of go right by me because I'm already surfing big waves kind of early. One of the things I do is translate those big non-physical, non-verbal, non-humanly understandable waves into usable, very practical forms. So to me, it's just eternal waves, eternal cycles, eternal evolution. So I just say, hey, 2013 is going to be better than ever if you're open. If you're awake, it might be very difficult if we're not, because resistance really is our friend. What it tries to do is make it so uncomfortable for us not to shift that we eventually have to let go. So, and again, it's not bad if people resist, and die, then they're going to be fine. They'll be back again, trying again. So, but 2013, I fully expect, is just going to be fabulous. And more and more and more, it's going to be about joy. It's going to be about living. It's going to be about integrating the spiritual into our practical lives rather than trying to do the spiritual bypass and escape the physical world and make the physical world wrong, make feelings wrong, make contrasts and challenges wrong. It's more and more and more going to be about surfing it. And by golly, I picked a challenging dimension here, and it's fun. You know, it's like riding my horse today. My girlfriend, I've got a pretty spunky horse. He's a handful. And she looks over and she goes, doesn't it bug you when I do that? I go, no, you know, he's challenging. That's part of the game. It's just, you know, just ride him, cowgirl, you know.
You have your Texan accent that just came out?
It comes out. Yeah, sometimes I'll have to say something really in somebody's face, and I'll go, all right, this is not me. This is the cowgirl guru I'm channeling now. and, and scrape that stuff off your boots, and, you know, yeah.
How do you define a guru?
Oh, you know, I've resisted the whole label, although it keeps getting put on me. I think a guru, it really is someone who has a special gift to open people up. And what I try to avoid is that people keep coming to me to get that buzz. I really am uncomfortable with that. I'm most happy when they tell me I got the buzz and I can generate it on my own. I don't need you anymore to get it. And there's the cowgirl guru again. But some people, they're just not quite ready to sit on the throne of their own life. and claim that much power yet. It may take them a few years, but I'll see them doing it. It may take them. Some people want a teacher for life. I'm not comfortable with that, but some people want a teacher for life. I don't want to be the light socket that people always have to plug into. I want people, and they do. They learn to do it, but not everybody will let that in or wants to.
How do you see the divine? What is different between the divine and grace?
Oh, I think grace is a tool that the presence uses, honestly. The presence is ineffable. I mean, the presence is indescribable. I even have no satisfactory name for it. I'm in love with it, in a constant love affair with it, but I'm really comfortable with the mystery, and all I know is that grace is like something that's constantly raining. I love water. I'm a water person. So to me, it's like grace is always raining on us, but here's the deal. If your skylight's closed or if it's open like a drinking straw, a little of that grace is going to get in. But what Divine Openings does is it blows it open, and all of a sudden the grace starts coming in, and people are going, but I'm not even doing anything. I'm just staying out of the way. And my life is different. My work is different. My finances, my love relationships, my health, everything is transforming. That's grace. It's like a gift. Okay, grace is a gift. Nobody's ever actually asked me that before. You expert question asker, of course. Grace is the ultimate gift, and it's always raining on us. It's always being given. So when people are constantly praying, oh, please, help me, I'm going, the grace is always raining. The grace is always raining. Stop asking. The presence is not hard of hearing. Get out of the way. Yeah. Let it in. It's raining. But you can die of thirst in a thunderstorm. You can die of thirst in a deluge of rain. So it's just so wonderful to be able to help people just open up and let in the gift that's always been knocking on the door. It's like, are you ready to let that gift in? Ready to let that? But sometimes people are so busy running around seeking and reading and learning. It's almost like they're blocking. You kind of got to get quiet for a while. And of course, sometimes people are terrified of the silence. Like, oh my God, what will I find in there? But then, of course, you do. If you've been spiritual bypassing some emotions at first, when you get quiet, they will appear.